One of my personal favourite genres for FPS campaigns to explore is horror. Maybe I just haven't played enough, but I feel like it's pretty rare for a shooter to divert an area of the story down an almost horror-esque path and do it successfully. The most famous example of this being done well is probably Halo Combat Evolved's 343 Guilty Spark mission. It's one of the most haunting and memorable FPS missions ever curated, and the game as a whole helped to inspire the entire genre going forward. A great example of this formula being used well is the well-renowned Star Wars Republic Commando, a first-person Star Wars shooter released back in 2005, just 4 years after Combat Evolved. Whilst Republic Commando never quite achieved the same notoriety as the likes of Battlefront 2, it remains to be one of the most beloved Star Wars games of all time, and for good reason. This was arguably the best and first successful attempt at making a strong FPS Star Wars game to reel in fans of the Halo franchise. And sure, in some ways it could seem as a bit of an imitation of the same formula, but I feel as though Republic Commando cemented itself in gaming's history as one of the shooter genre's must-play games. And whilst I could easily talk about the gameplay and the story as a whole, there's a certain aspect of the campaign that takes a page out of Halo's book in all of the best ways. Republic Commando takes a bold and explorative leap with some of its mission designs that I can't even picture developers bothering to even attempt nowadays. Anything involving war, in my opinion, should delve into the horrors and dread of what comes with it. Those who have played Call of Duty World at War should know exactly what I mean by this, and Delta Squad sure as hell goes down a darker path than most Star Wars stories are willing to show. The horrors of Republic Commando are not just funneled into one mission. Sure, Ghost Ship seems like the obvious place to start, but the campaign has multiple ways that it uses to make the player uneasy. Now I should probably mention that the first time I played this game was probably when I was about 10 years old, so all of the elements that I mention in regards to what makes up the game's horrors aren't scary at all, but little 10-year-old me was absolutely shitting bricks playing this game. One of the first examples is how intimidating the super battle droids are. Most depictions, even in the movies, have super battle droids shown to be just beefy battle droids, but are pretty disposable even within a few shots of standard clone blaster fire. But in Republic Commando, they are taller, broader, and have deep voices in contrast to the standard battle droid. And of course they are much more difficult to kill and deal pretty excessive damage with solid accuracy. Considering that this is the second form of droids, the difference in lethality portrayed in the game is drastic. Throughout the game's intro and earliest missions, you are mostly facing these droids with the help of your squad, so the pressure and difficulty of facing SBDs is present but manageable for the most part. But an element of Republic Commando's campaign that is not only revisited multiple times, but also leads up to the game's ending is the concept of being separated from your squad or losing members of the group. At its core, a large diversion and unique characteristic of the game is its squad-based gameplay and story. So taking away this comfort of having your brothers be there to back you up is a smart method of putting the player on edge and making more stronger enemies that much more intimidating. During the second half of Geonosis, you are tasked with infiltrating the core ship. However, your squad, Fixer, Sev and Scorch, who you've been with the entire time, now have to split away from you, and you are left to fight your way through a super battle droid factory on your ones.
These droids must be on standby. I'd better be careful not to wake them up.
This level had me so nervous as a child, and even now it's a nice little intense switch up. The SBDs are eerily dormant for the most part, but either full on contact or making too much noise when fighting one that's awake will cause more to activate. This level forces the player to be more careful and use cover to avoid getting ripped into by multiple droids at once, but also offers the option to interact with your surroundings and wake up the dormant droids if you're up for the challenge. And this mission serves as a setup for the multiple occasions that you'll be split from Delta Squad in the next chapters. With the main story being split into 3 main chapters, it makes sense that the focus of today's video is on Ghost Ship. You can draw parallels to Halo's 343 Guilty Spark in the way its unsettling elements are revealed to the player but also serve to be special in its own way. Even the opening scene of you floating towards the missing Republic assault ship is quite unsettling. But once again, you're split from your squad and it's much more eerie than most visuals depicted in Star Wars. You are in the darkest depths of space boarding a floating wreck through a less than conventional point of entrance, not to mention the foreboding ambience and soundtrack that follows through the level after you lose contact with Command. And the first form of life we run into aboard this giant cruiser on the edge of space is a couple of Minocs. As we work our way up the ship, we bump into a not so alive clone trooper. Nothing new of course, but given the circumstances I'd say it's a good first step of visual storytelling. However, any sort of observation is quickly diverted as Scorch ends up running into danger on the comms.
6-2 again, I'm getting that static again, stronger this time. I can hardly see. Wait, what the?
6-2. Delta 6-2, can you hear me? Report.
Get off me, you throwing bag of bolts!
6-2. Deltas, I've lost 6-2. Are either of you close enough to monitor his status? Report.
Negative, sir. No deltas on my scope either, sir.
Previously, our diversion from Delta Squad was coordinated and successful, but this time we are split up and lose communication with Command and members of our team straight away. Our next path is through the inner workings of the ship's vents, including our night vision. But in between this crawl space is a corridor inside an open room. Here we meet an alive clone trooper who is for some reason acting very suspicious.
You're a commando, thank goodness.
What happened here?
I'm not sure. I was scanning the maintenance corridors when I heard blaster fire. By the time I got to where the noise was, everyone was dead. No, sir. I was trying to launch a torpedo and alert the Republic.
Look out! A waste of good genes.
I'm gonna be honest, I still don't fully understand why he acts so strange, but my assumption is just simply that he was scared and couldn't fulfill his duties as a clone and take up any action on the ship, and he unfortunately becomes not so alive the very next second via a scavenger droid. But hey, at least he opened the vent for us. And speaking of said vent, I'm just gonna let the sound design of this next path do the talking. A slight criticism I have of the vents is the enemy choice. Scavenger droids are not scary outside of how they behave if you try to sneak past them. They latch onto walls and hang there like bats, but when these things actually engage the player, they are stupidly annoying and really overpowered.
Fixer, keep scanning for 6-2. I don't want to become a 3-man squad.
There's also some more visual storytelling as we are blessed with another in-game cutscene through a vent of another clone perishing to the same drones that we're fighting. Another vent, this time beneath us, has a different and much more sinister teaser of what's ahead of us.
Go, go, go!
We've got some trooper casualties here, Deltas. From the looks of things, there's something worse than droids on this ship.
Our next route through the ship is via the droid access conduits. It's another claustrophobic space filled with scavenger droids, making it easier for them to demonstrate the potential birthplace and inspiration behind the denizens of Black Ops 2's transit. Around these crawl spaces is where we are reunited with Sev, but the relief is short-lived. We are forced to watch through the glass as he is jumped by an enemy we are yet to encounter, a Trandoshan.
Sev, can you read me? Come in, Sev. Blast. 40-6-2, come in. Be on the lookout for armed hostiles. I think we've got Trandoshans. They've taken down 7. Delta Squad, come in.
You're 3 40. Keep an eye out. Need you in the ground.
Now, outside of this game already shining a light on an unexpected group of clones, the choice to delve into the species that is best known from the likes of Bosk and being the direct rivals of the Wookiees is an awesome choice of character to flesh out. And Bosk is my favourite bounty hunter, so I'm obviously a bit biased in this case. For how the stereotypical fodder Trandoshans are depicted, their designs and gameplay are just the right amount of freaky to keep the horror aspect flowing. Aggressive humanoid lizards that charge at the player with shotguns and knives is a much more intense experience than running through the default battle droids earlier in the game. Hiding tactics are also used, as they will conceal themselves behind barrels and attempt to jump scare the player. The next few rooms focus more on the action, as you are tasked with hacking terminals, blasting through groups of Trandoshans, linking up with surviving clones and turning on turrets. But the mission is not done with keeping the player on edge. As you approach the top of a ramp, the game's next big bad is teased to the player with what looks to be like a giant Trandoshan, and he's carrying the incapacitated Sev over his shoulder. After a few more rooms, you are offered two possible routes: either detonate the debris ahead or crawl silently through the vent on the right. And if you choose the vent, you are rewarded with my personal favourite bit of environmental storytelling in the campaign.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized time, huh? Well, guess what? Times have changed.
A deceased clone trooper with a lightsaber beside his corpse. I mean, personally, I think that's a bit of a skill issue, losing with the best melee weapon in the universe, but it's still cool to speculate how this clone perished and who this saber belonged to. It's also a big shame that we can't use the saber for ourselves, as around the next corner is when we bump into the most dangerous enemy yet that was just teased.
What in death's name is that?
We need reinforcements. Look, Commando, we sure could use your help, sir. Ah, you cold-blooded...
Fixer, I just encountered a heavily armored Trandoshan. Definitely wasn't a slaver.
Roger. Must have been some heavy assault mercenaries. Trandoshan elites. I heard they carry an LS-150 heavy ACP repeater.
You heard right. Nasty weapon.
The Trandoshan elites serve as a counterpart to the super battle droids. Large amounts of health and a minigun that can shred you within a couple of seconds if you peek around the corner. But due to being organic, they are susceptible to stun grenades. From here on out, the horror aspects of the mission start to dwindle as you gradually reunite with your squad. The mission structure focuses more on combat and transitions more back into the droid faction, but the feeling of being stranded in a desolate ship remains present. The structure, storytelling, enemy encounters and tile set design of Republic Commando's second chapter is my personal favourite in the game. But although most of the horror elements are now past, the game's theme and methods of splitting the player away from Delta Squad don't end with the ghost ship. During the game's final mission of Chapter 3, Delta Squad is forced to gradually split up as you progress through the facility, with each one of you being assigned a BFG to help destroy the Separatist cruiser. Sev takes the first, Fixer on the second gun, Scorch on the third, and you being on the fourth and final. The mission of course ramps up in difficulty as you are stripped of one teammate at a time until you are facing a spider droid with just yourself and Scorch. After Scorch departs from your HUD, the final room for Boss to trudge through is a Geonosian breeding room packed full of egg sacs. It is gnarly, but a smart way of bringing the player full circle to one of the first enemies encountered in the game. After the triumph of taking down the cruiser, one of the most iconic and depressing endings in the Star Wars universe takes place.
Boss, I've got a problem here.
Sev, where are you?
Multiple hostiles.
Lost his signal, boss.
We'll find it again, damn it. Squad, regroup. We're going after Sev.
Negative, 3-8. New orders came through from the Jedi generals. Clear the area. Evac now.
I don't care if they came from Master Yoda himself.
As a matter of fact, they did, soldier. Now get your squad out of there. Blast our orders. 40?
He's right, boss. We gotta evac.
Sir, we have to go back.
You and your squad are forced to leave one of your pod brothers behind, and Sev is never to be heard from again. The fact that this idea of being split from your squad throughout the campaign, and the subtle voice line tease of this ending during Ghost Ship isn't enough to prepare you for this ending is a testament to how well the squad members work together. Throughout the missions, you have fought through endless hordes of different factions, constantly revive one another and complete your duties, but the constant quips and chatter and bickering in brotherly love of the Delta Squad is a perfect distraction from the realities of war you are fighting. After the entire journey, there is no fun or jokes to be had. Just more orders to follow. Republic Commando perfectly encapsulates the unexplored character and realities of the clone commandos in a way that very few pieces of Star Wars media could ever wish to, while at the same time taking a very bold leap into the darker areas of the story that the Clone Wars isn't known for at face value. If you have enjoyed today's video, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe, and check out the previous videos if you're interested in more. Thank you for all the support on the Cyberpunk essay, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care.